What's up, War Rapport and Auburn family? We are back with another great edition of Building Rapport. Today we have the most special guest for you guys, head coach of Auburn Basketball for the last 8 years, Coach Bruce Pearl. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Mike, good to be with you guys. How's everything?
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, Coach, I want to get the interview kicked off by talking a little bit about what it's meant for you to be the coach of Auburn Basketball. You're going into your 8th season now, and you've built what a lot of fans feel like is the beginning of a dynasty. Can you talk about what it has meant to be the coach of Auburn Basketball that, you know, Auburn decided to bring you on?
Yeah, I've always said that I'm grateful to Jay Gouge and Jay Jacobs for bringing me to Auburn, and I'm grateful to the leadership at Auburn, the Board of Trustees, and Alan Green for keeping me at Auburn through some challenging times. A dynasty, I don't know about that. I would say that we are so locked in and focused on the next game, Oklahoma, or the next game, Alabama, that there is no time to reflect on those kind of things. And I will tell you that with the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness, everything, every year is going to be a brand new situation. But over the last 5 years, I'm very proud of the fact that I believe Auburn has been a top 25 men's college basketball program. We hold some numbers that verify that: number of wins in our league, number of wins in the non-conference, and a couple of championships. But we're working on another one this year.
All right, Coach Pearl, you've already kind of talked about a little bit of what we want to dive into today, and that's really the transfer portal and NIL. Specifically, let's talk first about the transfer portal. You have done an amazing job, from my assessment, and I think a lot of people's assessment, of being able to navigate the transfer portal to accurately or to make sure that your team is able to reload every year. Can you talk about just kind of the philosophy and how that's changed the landscape of being able to put a program together?
We had 4 guys come in out of the transfer portal. 2 were really good evaluations by our staff. That Wendell Green, an undersized point guard from Eastern Kentucky, had some special in him. And then Zep Jasper, who was a really super solid, very productive combo guard at the mid-major level, could transition a point guard and bring the same sort of solidness to the position, and also a great defensive player and a warrior. Those were guys that I think not everybody would take at our level. And we did, and they've been terrific. The other 2 were based on prior relationships, that when we recruited KD Johnson and his family, we recruited Walker Kessler and his family, even though we didn't get them, we recruited them the right way. And when we said goodbye the right way, and then they wound up coming back to us the following year. So good evaluations, great kids, and great relationships was how we managed this past year. Now, moving forward, you don't know what the transfer portal is going to look like. I don't know what my roster is going to look like. We got some guys that are definitely going to be able to have an opportunity to go play professionally. I have historically not had lots of transfers. We've had no transfers out of my coaching staff, although I got a bunch of guys ready to be head coaches. But that continuity served us really well. And we'll see when the year's over.
Coach, talking about the transfer portal, the portal has given young athletes some autonomy back in terms of how they spend their playing career. Can you talk a little bit about what that recruiting pitch is like to athletes now, given that they have more choices in where and how they transfer? And then I wanted you to talk a little bit about development of players. One of the things that we've noted about the program over the last 8 years is it seems as if kids come in and they're being able to maximize their athletic potential under your guidance. Can you talk about, is that what you're selling to kids? Come play for me, come play for Auburn, and we'll help you reach the heights of your athletic potential?
That's what we do. That's our job, to develop you and help you get ready for what's next after college. And I don't know that many places are doing it any better than Auburn University. And so we're trying to do the same thing. Starts with my strength and conditioning coach, Damon Davis, who's as good as there is in the country. And it trickles all the way down to my assistant coaches, Ira Bowman, who's an incredible individual workout guy. So is Wes Flanagan, Stephen Pearl. And then I've got, Marquise Daniels, director of player development, graduate assistant coaches, former player in KT Urel, or former manager in Maddox Jeffries, video guys like Ian Bowman. It's my entire staff and our managerial team that recognize that, look, we're a program built on 3 and 4 stars. Yes, Jabari Smith was a McDonald's All-American. Yes, Walker Kessler was. Yes, Sharif Cooper. Those were the only 3. And so obviously it helps coaching 5 stars versus, guys you have to just develop. But look, this program is built on a foundation of Jared Harper and Bryce Brown and Anthony McLemore and guys that came in without any SEC offers that developed and got better. And so, yeah, I'd like to think that we do a great job with it, but that's, of course, our job. That's our job. Second thing you asked was about the transfer portal. I think if you're going to go ahead and move the clock head forward and evaluate this past year, I would think that slightly more than half of the guys that transferred improved their situation. But I bet you there's a pretty good percentage that thought the grass was greener somewhere else and it wasn't. I'd be curious to see what that looks like. It's clearly been the case for all 4 of our guys, so we kind of skew that number. I'm way more. I'm glad the kids have the opportunity for a year and then want to benefit, like a Samir Dowdy, for example, sat out a year, and what a year he had, the following year. I'd rather teach them to fight than flee, but I believe in the freedoms this country affords us, and the opportunity for all. And so I'm not against it. I just think I would just caution our student athletes, like I would anybody. Don't always think the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, because it's not.
Well, Coach, I think that you've done a tremendous job thus far of navigating that minefield, but there is a new minefield on the horizon, or is actually here right now, and that is NIL. Can you talk a little bit about how you are trying to adequately prepare the Auburn basketball program for handling that, and the student athletes for making sure that they're able to optimize their opportunities within that program?
I think there has got to be, it's not even a 180, it's a 360. That's how big of a turn intercollegiate athletics is taking right now with the NIL. And keep in mind, it got here in the middle of summer, and we got focused on our season with the kids here, and I'm in the middle of it right now. So we haven't had a ton of attention, myself and my coaching staff, and that's good. But Auburn Athletics has. Alan Green, Rich McGlynn, our Auburn Athletic Administration, monitoring it, compliance, being involved in it, so that things are up board to provide, as you said so properly, our student athletes the opportunity to maximize their name, image, and likeness. I think Auburn's doing a good job. And I will be jumping into that more when the season's over, because there are some tremendous possibilities. You can't be involved with pay to play, which I think is one of the great challenges of monitoring this name, image, and likeness as it relates to the whole recruiting and promises. And it's going to be interesting to see what's promised and what's being delivered. We're not making any promises. We'll just point to Jabari Smith having one of the very few, maybe the only college player with a contract with a shoe company, or what some of our other student athletes are doing at Auburn, Suni Lee or Alan Flanagan, or different players who are doing very, very well with it, and as they should. And I think it's going to continue to get better for our student athletes.
So, Coach, I want to pivot a little bit here from NIL to what you're building. So you've given us a clear picture of how you guys are handling the transfer portal and trying to help student athletes get into the program and take advantage of every opportunity, including NIL. But Auburn basketball is in a new era here that you've kind of worked to over the last 8 years. And I can tell you, Coach, when I was a student, you could find tickets to the game outside on the ground before the game. Now it's a hot ticket in town, and one of the things that, the yearly things you're having to deal with are one and dones. So you get a talented kid in like Jabari Smith. How challenging is it to build a program where you get super talented kids in, but you only have them for 1 year and then they go pro?
It puts a lot of pressure on the recruiting and things like that. But our job is to get them ready. And if we have an amazing school business, and we got a phenomenal accounting program, and it takes our guys 4 years to go through that program, and our kids pass the boards at a 10 times higher rate than any other university's accounting program. But it takes them 4 years. If I can get them ready, if they can get ready in a year and we can help, that's our job. And so, the rule's always been, if you think you get in the first round, it's probably a good idea to go. There's no question Jabari Smith is going to be one of the top 2 or 3 players taken in the NBA draft. He will only be here for a year. But Jabari came in not to get drafted 1, 2, or 3. Jabari came in to get better. He came in to get stronger. He came in and work on his game. He came in to have a really good, fun college experience, and he's loving Auburn. And he came in here to win championships and be a great teammate. That's been his focus. And as a result of focusing on being a great teammate and trying to win championships, he just simply plays to win. And then everybody sees that. And so as opposed to playing to put up numbers to try to get himself drafted, he doesn't do that. He's productive. He impacts the game on offense and on defense. And all that does is give the next guy confidence that if they came to Auburn, history does tend to repeat himself. Chuma Okeke, Isaac Okoro, JT Thor, Jabari Smith, and whoever else wants to be next.
But I did want to just kind of continue down this trail about program building because, when you first arrived at Auburn, we definitely were not what they call the new bloods, right? And we're not the blue bloods of basketball, but we're evolving into what they're calling the new bloods. But can you talk about just how impactful you feel like this season is towards, just the historic nature of Auburn being number 1 for the first time? I've heard you speak about this a little bit in the post game and some pregame stuff about how important it would be leading up to it. But, it's here now. You've had your first time to defend as the number 1 team in the nation. Can you talk about how that is significant for you as a coach getting back to that place, and then for Auburn generally as a program?
Well, look, it's great to be in a position that we're in. I'm old school. And, I'm playing the back 9 right now. And, I ain't never going to be no blue blood. I can tell you that right now. And neither is Auburn, as long as I'm in charge. And I don't know whether we're new blood or not. But we are humble and we are hungry. And we just simply do, to the best of our ability, do the things every day that God will bless. And or at least have a chance to be blessed. Don't do them for the blessing. Just do them to glorify him and put yourself in a position to maybe get blessed. Because if you don't do them, you ain't going to get blessed. No shot, no chance. And then just got to keep on getting better. Look, there's a reason why we've been down on the road double digits 4 times. We're down double digits at home to Kentucky. And so And that's because we got work to do. That's because we got weaknesses.
Right.
And as long as we continue to focus on that and try to do something about it, we got a chance to continue to be successful.
Well, Coach, you've gotten the program to an amazing spot where there's a lot of enthusiasm around the program. Auburn has a pretty awesome meme culture on Twitter. So I did want to talk to you a little bit about social media and recruiting and what effect that has on the program. I've seen you're somewhat outspoken, on social media, more so than some other coaches, right? How important has the social media aspect been to helping you guys build what you're trying to do at Auburn?
What's happening right now with the Twitter mob and social media, I just think it's fun. I don't pay a ton of attention to it. I see the memes. I see some of the artwork. I see the number of people that are communicating. I think people are having fun with it. I want to keep the punches above the waist. I want to have it to be classy but fun. And I think we're always so worried about socially being correct that we've lost laughter and and the ability to kind of get after somebody because because then you get called all kind of names and just lighten up a little bit, everybody. And I think that's kind of what this has done. I don't know everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. I want it to be appropriate, but it's kind of cool. I think it helps recruiting for sure. And then then for me, obviously, I'm active on social media, not only in the area of basketball and promoting Auburn and what we're doing here, but a little bit politically, a little bit religiously. Being Jewish, I'm very sensitive to racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia. I'm very sensitive to people loving each other and trying to push for us to have the ability to get along and find reasons to build teams. We could do more together than we can do apart. And people that are trying to pull us apart and separate us. And so I fight those fights. You run the risk sometimes of getting called out, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I wish we could have discussions and be on different sides of an issue, and just agree to disagree. There's nothing. I respect people that don't think the way I do. I do. I very well may not agree with them. Sometimes I shake my head at some of the things that we're doing. But anyways, it was, Dr. King did not want us to be quiet. When we saw something that was wrong, he wanted us to stand up and do something about it if we could. And so I'm standing up. And I could be wrong in the fights I'm fighting, but I'm going to stand up to anyways.
All right. Well, Coach, we appreciate all the time that you've given us today, but we did want to definitely give you an opportunity to speak about. You've already talked about some passionate causes that you have. Of course, if Auburn family's not aware, you support a cause called Outlive, and I just want to give you a few minutes to talk about that and whatever you want to say in regards to it.
I appreciate it. Listen, the number one reason why we're talking about Outlive is the best way to outlive cancer is to detect it early. So for all of your listeners right now, y'all need to go get checked. Whether it's mammograms for the women, prostate exams for the men, blood tests to see what your counts are. We ought to be, preventative in what we're trying to do as far as taking care of ourselves and our health. It goes without saying your exercise and all the different things that you need to do to try to stay healthy as best you possibly can. But cancer screenings is one of them. And, with COVID and people being concerned about going to the hospital and different things like that, a lot of people are ignoring things. And as a result, their cancer is in stage 3 and stage 4 instead of stage 1 or 2, where it's more treatable. So Outlive is a public relations campaign so that people will outlive cancer by, number one, going to get checked. So if you're listening, call your mom or dad right now and say, Mom or Dad, when was the last time you got your cancer checked? Coach Pearl asked me that. And if they say it's been a long time, well, they need to go get checked. The second thing is, it is a fundraising campaign to be able to provide about 10 or 11 agencies and hospitals that treat cancer patients in the state of Alabama resources to be able to, not research, resources to be able to put cash in patients' pockets who are having a hard time paying their bills. When you get chemo radiation, it's not a one and done deal. These fights can take years, and you're going to miss some work because you're going to be too sick to go to work. Well, you're not going to get that paycheck. And a lot of cancer patients don't have the money to, for the gas to go. They can't afford the day off, so they miss their treatments. And so therefore, every dime we raise through the sale of T-shirts or contributions to Outlive or the Bruce Pearl Family Foundation, every penny goes to a patient. There are no administrative costs at all in my foundations because it's me and my wife and a few members of the board. So that's how people can help. And I'll make sure that Marlene, my sports information director, gets to you so you can tell people how they can go online to Outlive and the Bruce Pearl Family Foundation if anybody wants to make a contribution. I mean,
absolutely,
it's an easy way to put $25 in somebody's pocket that's battling cancer.
Coach, I appreciate you sharing that. We have a number of causes we support. We support the Lee County Humane Society in their effort to save rescue animals. You guys are doing this part. We've told our listeners for a long time, the power of community is that if everybody does a little, we can accomplish a great deal. So I appreciate you sharing that. We're going to drop the link to that fundraiser in the description of the video to make it easy for people to follow that. Coach, appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time today. You guys are on the war path right now, #1 team in the country. So thank you for all your contributions to Auburn athletics and to the Auburn community.
Whether we're #1 in the country or not, that's to be determined. And
Yes, sir.
so you make that you make that the case every time you take the floor. But listen, you guys do a great job in our community, and I appreciate you delivering the message. And it's my pleasure to be on with you. We'll do it again.
Well, that's it for another great edition of Building Rapport. I want to thank Coach Bruce Pearl for joining us today. Listen, if you want more content like this, click like and subscribe. We are the War Rapport on YouTube. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TW Rapport on TikTok. Guys, we're signing off. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.